12 p.m. in the studios of Pan-African Television. Welcome to Pan-African News at 12. My name is Maxwell Williams. We are beaming signals from our studios here on 48 Swanika Street here in Accra, Ghana, West Africa. We're also streaming live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. Now to our top stories for this afternoon broadcast. Now, Odona residents recount how flood victim lost his life. Newly constructed railway washed away by flood at Achimota. Cocoa farmers in Kojokuma fume over lack of items for their produce. Later in business, reinstated fund managers must have money to pay us, customers tell SEC. We have details of all these top stories, including other stories as well. We'll also be crossing over to our international partners, People's Dispatch, to bring you some stories from there as well as sports. Do stay with us. We are back with the details. Head straight into the details of our headline this afternoon. Our first story on the local front: Tuesday's downpour, which wreaked havoc in some parts of Accra, has claimed the life of a man who resided at Odona. Now, in an interview, some residents recounted how the exceedingly worrying situation occurred that day.
It was just around 3 a.m. and I started calling him, and then I was calling him about 4 times, and his phone was ringing, but he was not able to answer the call. So I stopped it. So around this morning, around 6:30, I received a call from one of my boys, my apprentice, and he phoned me that he told me that have I heard what was happening at the workplace. I said no. Then he started briefing me, telling me the story, what has happened about Kogwentri, also known as Apia. And I said, oh, what happened? And he was telling me that he don't know what happened. But according to information that he received, saying that there was an electrical shock. He had an electric shock, to say. What I will miss is humility. He's a respectful person and hardworking, very serviceable, young man. To be honest, these three things I'll mix. Because he is the one who always, if he's around, always, anything like the flood this morning happening, what happened this morning, he will go, wake up, calling people. He has rather saved a lot of people's life, and he rather, has passed on. You see how missing, to be honest, among his colleagues. He's very good boy. People who knows him will testify.
When the incident happened inside, there's 3 people where they heard some noise, so they came in to see what is happening. So when they entered, they saw that one of the fridge is down. So they do quickly to raise and place it where it was. Unfortunately, there's a electric thing there, so it just hold one of the guy. When you hold it, the 3 of them try to help the guy, but they could not. And the water also, how the water is coming, they have to maneuver and place and break this door and come out from this side, this angle. If not this door, if there's metal inside, they would have died. But this guy is very humble, and any little boy, he humbled himself. Like anything that you said this guy to do, he will do it for you. What I like about the guy, so he's a hero, not about having money, but he's humble. I like the guy instead that anytime you see me working, you come around, you help me, we finish the work. What you want, I give it to him. But this incident, it gave me a shock. When they tell me that the guy is gone, I was in the car. I did not come out until this morning. I was very like.
Still on Tuesday's downpour, portions of the railway line recently laid by the Ghana Railway Company Limited have been washed off its track by the floodwaters that resulted from the rainstorm that occurred in part of Accra. Now, in a bid to revive its operations, the Ghana Railway Company Limited have in the last year embarked on a campaign which has seen the company lay new tracks on the Accra and Sam lines and other routes.
Following the rainstorm and its resulting floods in several parts of the capital, portions of the Achimota-Abofu section of the Accra and Sam railway line got carried away from its original position to a nearby location. At the time of our visit, engineers of the Ghana Railway Company Limited were already on site, working to repair the situation to put the tracks back in its original position. As usual of the rainy season, major parts of the capital city were flooded after Monday night's rainstorm. Some of the worst affected areas included Achimota, Adabraka, Dome, and Avina. An unidentified body had been washed up by the floodwaters in Avina at the articulator station. Meanwhile, the body of a middle-aged man was seen lying beside a drain, with residents saying the police were yet to report to the scene despite a call placed. Some of the residents who spoke in an interview said the body was sighted by the drain around 5 a.m. in the morning. At Christian Village in Achimota, a fence wall adjoined to the kiosk a family was sleeping in during the rain broke, killing 2 members of the family. The victims were an 18-year-old senior high school student and a lady aged 24.
This morning that we saw it lying there. We don't know. I was in the house when my boys called me that they found a dead body around our area there. And I'm asking them what happened. That they also came and saw it lying there. Okay, and I said, okay, let me come and see what is going on. I came around, then I saw people standing and talking about that. It's the water who carried it and bring it over here. So that's what I also heard from them. No, around 7 to 8 going. But when they were here discussing, they were talking about 3 going to 4 that they saw it there. We called, that was the police service center. They said they will be coming. Since morning, we couldn't see one of them over here. Every year we have been experiencing this flooding. Every year we are experiencing this flooding. We always go to the assemblements and the authorities. They always come and take pictures and go, that they will come and do. Always and always and always. And it's been carrying on. Then we lost many people over here due to this flooding. And that's the main the choke here. That's the main water lock there.
Still on the local front, cocoa farmers at Kojokuma, located in the Isikuma Odobin Kwabra district, are calling on the government to come to their aid in terms of some items needed to improve cocoa production in that particular district. In an interview with our news team, a cocoa farmer, Kojo Penny, revealed that the poor nature of roads and lack of items to enhance cocoa production has severely affected cultivation of the cash crop in the area.
With over 400 cocoa road projects abandoned in various communities all over the country, Central Region is not exempted. I'm presently here in Kojokuma, Odobin, Brakwa, in the Central Region, a cocoa-dominating area. According to them, they are facing a lot of challenges as their road, which is part of the Cocoa Road project, has been left abandoned for the past 4 years. I'm going to speak to them to find out what they think about the situation, what they are doing, or what they are going to do about it. Okay. Eja, Pacha, your friend was saying.
Me do Kwesi Pen.
Koku adwuma no waye mfie sɛn
be 30 years ni.
Hanum koko no. Ehu to say challenges bang any wom.
Challenge wo mi say koko no etumi so na no ho akagye na yenya.
Hade bit say
Bi o ma fertilizer ni edu a de bobo so. No yentanya. Afi we ya na aban on my koko board what the fet eba eso kwan na ase nti bi kura tumi bedu kwa ma na mo yi amaka afoforo ya ha kodwukuma kuro ya ewomi sa no ma na mo ye nkura ye nam na kuro nu salma isa nti mudu ha nchechire bi ho a wosan ko che wonchire nti sa koko nu fet aban kura de man kura ye nya bi ye beta ne se o ma afro moku ye bokọ na se tam no apa ho nto mo sisi ya hapa koko de ebi wo hapa swa Robin Black Quality de sameka koko dodo a omotin ha mintumi nka
nti tons ahina ya mutumi diko adwaso ne ewose modiko eni ekwan ni nti de ma mutumi emfa nko
ton de meka mintumi nka edoso pa nya koko ketwa a ifi sa small Robin Black Quality because I make me one me kakra ma pela me kan say aban yin na yeto abana sa aban bisiso a yin na yeti koko na yin na adwuma ba kono mode ye nti sa na bibile ba won kan yema yeso ye wo kru nketewa mu ma yeso yedwuma ye ne enkoso.
Reporting for Pan African News, Elizabeth Mafo.
And that was my colleague Elizabeth Mafo filing that report from Esikuma Odobin Brakwa district when the constituency connect team visited the area to assess the challenges they are facing with respect to cocoa production and other stuff as well. So on the local front, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection in collaboration with its international partners is set to commemorate this year's AU Day of the African Child. Now, the celebration of the African Union Day of the African Child, which has instituted in 1976, is to celebrate or be celebrated on June 16 annually in memory of the children who died as a result of the unfortunate incident that took place in Soweto, South Africa. I'll be joined in the studio very soon with a gentleman that will be talking about this particular event. But let's go and watch this video. We'll be back. Now, that was the incident that took place in South Africa, Soweto, precisely in 1976, where some children lost their life through that particular incident. Now, having joined in the studio by Gregory Derry, a child protection manager, World Vision International, to talk more about this particular initiative or celebration that we are supposed to start today, the 10th of June to the 16th of June. Sir, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Do you think, let's start from the African continent, do you think the child of the African, the African child is being respected?
Good afternoon to your viewers. Let me begin by saying that we have come a long way since 1976, after that gruesome massacre of children in South Africa.
Yeah.
Progressively, things have changed in terms of child survival and development.
Okay.
So when you look at the area of education, progressively we have more children going to school, more children accessing quality education. You have progressively more children having access to quality healthcare. So more children are surviving and developing. So when you look at it from that point of view, we might say that the African child today is better off than the child yesterday as of 1976. And governments over the years have also been conscious and consistent in putting in place policies and mechanisms that will ensure that children are protected and their rights are guaranteed.
Great. Now, walk us through the need for the celebration of this particular event in Ghana. Here, we are back to our country.
Yes. So Ghana, we are part of Africa.
Sure.
And whatever affects a part affects the whole. So we are celebrating the Day of the African Child, or we are commemorating the day to ensure that people reflect what are the wrongs that we have done to children in the past. Because children have been dehumanized, children have been ostracized, children have been treated badly over the years. And we need to right those wrongs right and ensure that children are taken care of and are protected as they should be. So for Ghana, we are celebrating and calling on all stakeholders to have this type of sober reflection and see what can we do better to ensure that children are not left off the hook. Children do not grow to regret being a Ghanaian or coming from Africa.
Well, let's now pay attention to them in this COVID-19 era.
Yeah.
Since then, we've not seen any initiative being put in place in the protection of children per se. Attention has been drawn away from them. It's all about the adults, wearing of nose mask and all that. We only hear for the adults.
Yeah.
There hasn't been absolutely nothing for them. How come we didn't hear anything from your organization or body?
Yeah, so a lot of initiatives are on the way, are ongoing, and maybe we have not been privileged to be part of your media, so you will not have heard of us. But other media houses have covered extensively what we are doing in the area of children. You know, if you look at government's package for the response, with a critical analysis of it, you think that children have been left out. But you are aware that so many millions of children suffer from the closure of schools.
Sure.
And government, in its own wisdom, realized that no, we cannot allow these children to be home without doing anything. So some educational initiatives were started by the Ministry of Education. So you have educational programs on television, you have online, and some civil society organizations have even taken this further to mobilizing children in the community through some sort of community radio programs to let them have tuition. We have the toll-free lines where children who suffer from violence can report. And that is another initiative that we have struggled for over the years. If a child is abused, how does that child have access to the service providers? If you cannot report, there's no opportunity to report, then you're obviously cut off. And that was one. And we also saw the Honorable Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection working hand in hand with NADMO to ensure that during the lockdown, families were provided with at least one hot meal per day, and some were even given the raw food. All that was in anticipation of, or was an attempt to ensure that children in communities are protected for in terms of their basic needs. But we are taking this even forward because parents over the years have enjoyed that period where children are in school. They don't feel it at home. Now children have to stay with them at home. If you're a parent, you will feel it because you realize that the children are eating almost all the food. Everything is going. And this brings some different level of pressure on parents, some different level of tension. And some of them who do not know how to respond to this kind of tension begin to react negatively towards children. So we have seen increasingly a very high level of abuse. Children being beaten left, center, right. And we even have some parents who are giving out their children in marriage because they think that this is the opportunity to let them go, so that they'll have fewer mouths to feed and so many other things. So we have been doing a lot of work around psychosocial, working with parents and educating them on how to coexist with children within this difficult period. And also reaching out with the children. You know, these are not normal times. You are home. You need to behave. You need to follow the rules. Okay? You need to respect your parents. So all these are things that we try to put in place so that you don't find children roaming about aimlessly, though we are seeing some happening. Or you are seeing children being neglected. In some areas we visit, children do not have nose masks. The adults wear, but the children don't wear. And if adults are not supposed to enter public places without masks, but children are allowed, it brings us back to the same old story.
So quickly give us the theme for this particular year's celebration and run us through the activities you've planned for this particular year. Okay,
so the theme for this year's celebration, if you permit me.
Okay, go ahead.
Is access to child-friendly justice in Ghana.
Okay.
Access to child-friendly justice in Ghana. And for the week, we have a lineup of activities beginning today, where we have a press briefing or press release. From now to the 16th, we'll have a lot of engagement on social media. And other media platforms, you know, because of COVID. Yeah.
All right.
Last year around this time, we had a very big deba. With so many thousands of children and stakeholders that we cannot do that. So we are using alternative means. And on the 16th, which is the climax, we'll have the Minister for Gender as part of the Minister of Information's weekly briefing to address the state at the Ministry of Information Conference Hall. And she'll be talking specifically on the effect of COVID on children and what government response has been so far.
All right, before I let you go, I would just want you to give some word of encouragement to parents and guardians at home watching us right now, because they are facing the real challenge right now.
Yeah, so my dear parents, please take it lightly with our children. Yes, these are difficult times. Don't be too annoyed with some of the things they do. Just guide them so that they'll grow to respect and become meaningful citizens. COVID-19 is real. Ensure that all the precautionary measures that apply to you also apply to the child. And let us stay safe.
All right, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And that was Gregory Derry, a child protection manager, World Vision International, giving us some updates about the initiative that is being, commenced today, the 10th of June to the 16th of June, to commemorate the disaster that took place in South Africa, Soweto to be precise, in 1976, where dozens of children lost their life through that particular incident. You're still live on Pan African News at 12. You're going for a short breather. We'll return with the rest of our stories. Do stay with us.
Time with the dad, do press you was a one to
make me see why. Let me give a church away. I managed in your cheese. I
come 2 years. So, no down proke her by Mr. We see somebody who say from Oren so Dr. Catchin is or malaria, one nipple nipple. so onom dank antima x yare malaria ebe kokra obi wo hono ma ne yem ye ne yanso a so onom dank gastro care herbal mixture oho beto dank phyto care herbal mixture koko ebe ye hu adwuma ma wapono waposo ohu tutu dank extra care herbal mixture obenya hoden ne watimi anante mekafo dank no nyina e de amamo
na ebenya dwenya bi we
pharmacy shop ana herbal shop also pe dank nura ye be ma obi
acha mo number ye sen
0266593330
enroi oba pemfo oba ma akora nufo ani akora woni mfie du mienu ntime no FDA ahwehwe sa edwadie nkrato yi mu agya atom se eye.
If you just tuned in, this is the Pan-African News at 12 on our channel Pan-African Television. You can also watch us live on Facebook as we are streaming there live. Now to the rest of our local stories. Now the Speaker of Burundi's Parliament, Pascal Nyabenda, has assumed office as interim president following the death of President Pierre Nkurunziza. Now the 54-year-old will serve in that capacity till the newly elected leader Evariste Ndayishimiye is sworn into office.
Nyabenda, born on April 12, 1966, previously served as governor of Busanza province before he was elevated to president of the National Assembly on July 30, 2015. He's seen as an ally of a deceased president who died of heart failure. After 15 years in power, Pierre Nkurunziza was due to step down in August. Evariste Ndayishimiye, his successor as leader of a ruling CNDD FDD party, won last month's presidential election.
Away from that, Malawi will go to the polls on June 23, a week earlier than initially ordered by the courts, which annulled President Peter Mutharika's narrow election victory last year due to the irregularities recorded. Now, the initial date set for the rerun was July 2nd, 2020.
The Constitutional Court ruled on February 3, 2020 that a fresh presidential election be held within 150 days after citing widespread, systematic and grave irregularities when it annulled the vote that returned Mutharika to power. But opposition members of parliament passed the resolution setting the June 23 date to the surprise of the government side, which had hoped for a vote through constitutional amendments. That vote would have delayed the setting of a new date. The announcement of a new date was received by wild celebrations from the opposition benches. Mutharika has been forced to appoint a new chairman of the Malawi Electoral Commission, Justice Chifondo Kachali, a High Court judge after his predecessor Jane Ansa. A Supreme Court of Appeals judge was declared incompetent by both the Constitutional and Appeals Court.
Away from Malawi, tension has built in South Africa over the disappearance of 28-year-old Chishigo Facho Pule. Now, her stabbed body was found hanging from a tree near Johannesburg.
The deceased was 8 months pregnant. There are high levels of violence against women in South Africa, and last year President Cyril Ramaphosa said the country was one of the most unsafe places in the world to be a woman. Crime statistics released last year show that 2,930 adult women were murdered in a 12-month period from 2017 to 2018, which amounts to one murder every 3 hours. Chigofacho Puli went missing last week and her body was recently found. Police spokesperson Captain K. Makubele is saying that a murder investigation has been opened.
Away from that, the Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah has said government is ready to open the country's borders for final year foreign students to enable them return to Ghana following the partial reopening of schools. Now, he noted that arrangements are being done with the Ministry of Education in this regard.
The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in his 10th televised address to the state, announced the easing of some of the restrictions imposed on the country, including the reopening of schools solely for final year students. However, there have been concerns about the fate of final year foreign students who left the country before the closure of borders in March 2020. The country's borders were shut as part of measures put in place to check the spread of the coronavirus pandemic in Ghana. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said the country's borders were to remain shut even though measures have been put in place to bring Ghanaians stranded abroad back into the country. According to the Minister of Information, the government has taken into consideration the concerns of foreign final year students who left the country and would need to return to complete their studies. Mr. Oponin Nkrumah, however, indicated that such students will have to engage with their schools for the necessary arrangements to be made to enable them gain access into the country.
That's all on the local front. Coming up in business, reinstated fund managers have money to pay us, says customers to SEC. We bring you details after this breather. Do stay with us.
Hello?
Oh, Sisiana sound.
Okay, wait a minute. Why? My wife comes and send a message. Hello? I didn't know. What's happened?
It's a child who will be a quiet say what? I dare say,
besides from a friend, I'm so used to. My wife is not testing messages here. And my office is so. I'm trying to tell you, she says, I
mean, so we a guy manu, and may young who could look cry. And also wants a family drilling company limited for Ghana.
What's it then? Family Drilling Company Limited.
Ye two borehole, biofuel, biogas, swimming pool, plumbing works in Naso, ye be Frey 0240-333-111 and NASA 0244-144-822.
Miampa and we want swimming pool on me see. We want to we'll be here. Family drilling now. Family drilling.
What fast is your last set?
Me out with that.
Staying tuned. Let's head straight into the world of business. The coalition of aggrieved customers of collapsed fund management companies is calling on the Securities and Exchange Commission to ensure that any company whose license is restored is liquid enough to pay back clients their locked up investments. Now this follows an announcement by the Chief Executive Officer of the Security
and albatross around the necks of customers, whereas they have to go through stress in demands for their monies. He feared after 2 years of the Security and Exchange Commission's decision to revoke licenses of such fund management companies, their monies would lose value.
Finally, on the business front, the Bank of Ghana posted a profit of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis for 2019. Now, this is about twice the operating loss of 793 million Ghana cedis it recorded in 2018.
The current success is largely attributed to the strong performance the central bank posted for the year under review. For 2019, the Bank of Ghana's income from fees, penalties charged to commercial banks, interest among others, reached 5.85 billion cedis compared to the 3.12 billion cedis recorded in 2018. Though the central bank's expenditure items such as personal costs, rent, repairs and renewals increased from 3.92 to 4 billion cedis between 2018 and 2019, it posted more income for 2019, which contributed to the profit. Meanwhile, the banking sector regulator's total assets, which are those items it can lay claim to, increased by 16% within the one-year period from 59 to about 60 billion cedis. Of these, securities such as long-term government bonds topped with a share of 46.2 billion cedis, followed by cash and balances with correspondent banks at 7.4 billion cedis, while balances with the IMF recorded a third highest of 5.34 billion cedis. Also, total liabilities, which are those items that the central bank cannot lay claim to, also increased by 13.4% to record 67 billion cedis from the 59 billion cedis recorded in 2018. Debt with the central bank comprising those facilities belonging to the government of Ghana and other financial institutions contributed the highest of 19.4 billion cedis. It is followed by currency in circulation and liabilities to the IMF with a share of 16.3 and 10 billion cedis. Despite the strong performance posted by the Bank of Ghana in 2019, the board did not approve the payments of dividends for the year.
That's all for the business front. But coming up on the international front, Swiss Labour Party of Labour intensifies campaign to introduce corona tax for millionaires in the country. Details after this breather. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now to our first story from our international partners, People's Dispatch. The Swiss Party of Labour, PST-POP, and its mass front has intensified their campaign to introduce a corona tax for the millionaires in the country to create a fund to redistribute to the workers and families in distress. Now, on June 7, the party has organized a flash mob in Vaud to support the petition to institute the corona tax. PST Pope has launched a petition to institute Corona Solidarity Tax on April 3 and has been organizing various campaigns to promote the petition. In the petition, the party has proposed 1. A one-off deduction of 2% on wealth and property worth 3 million Swiss francs and more. This will raise approximately 17.5 billion francs, equivalent to 1.82 billion US dollars. Patrimony is defined as the total sum of real estate, financial investments, as well as valuable and movable goods such as yachts, jewelry, works of art, etc. The calculation is based on 2019 tax figures. 2. The creation of a fund into the Corona Solidarity Levy will be paid. It will be used to redistribute it to workers, families, and small businesses who are in financial distress due to the corona crisis. 3. Money paid from the fund is considered a specific support contribution, not a loan. It should therefore not be reimbursed. The party has stated that the difficulties we are currently facing are directly linked to the liberal economic policy of our government. The massive reduction in the tax rate on corporate profits, the privatization of the health sector, and the ongoing social cuts have considerably weakened our ability to cope with crises of this magnitude. The government intends to pass on the cost of the crisis to the population by accumulating the national debt. However, the PST Pope believes that those who benefit enormously from the neoliberal policies so far should be involved. They should now contribute to the common good and to the recovery of the economy. This is why we are proposing the Corona Solidarity Tax targeting millionaires, the party added. Meanwhile, the Communist Party has entrusted its 2 deputies in the Grand Council of Ticino, Massimiliano AY and Leah Ferrari, to file a parliamentary initiative asking to legally prohibit layoffs during the period of crisis. Communist Party has stated that after the crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic, layoffs followed and unemployment figures are increasing. The loss of jobs is worrying and requires an intervention by the state to protect not only workers but also the productive fabric of the canton. The aid provided by the public body, in fact, should be aimed at safeguarding jobs and guaranteeing the payment of wages, certainly not to increase the productivity margins of that irresponsible part of the boss who wants to take advantage of it, the party added. The youth wing of the Swiss Party of Labour and Communist Youth has expressed solidarity with ongoing anti-racist protests across the United States triggered by the killing of George Floyd. Cadres from the Communist Youth, including Samuel Lembo, have participated in the anti-racist demonstration on June 6 in Bellinzona and extended their solidarity. Away from that, on June 6, Saturday, hundreds of people have protested in front of the United States Embassy in Ireland at Dublin, demanding justice for George Floyd. Now, the call for the mobilization was given by MASI, Movement of Asylum Seekers in Ireland, Migrant and Ethnic Minorities for Reproductive Justice, MERGE, Black Pride Ireland. The protesters have also demanded to put an end to the direct provision, a system for housing asylum provision in Ireland, deployed by the majority of the asylum seekers. Marches were also organized in Belfast and Derry in Northern Ireland in solidarity with the ongoing anti-racist protests in the United States and across the world. The people who had participated in the protest had taken precautions adhering to the COVID-19 safety protocols. Communist Party of Ireland (CPI) and the Colony Youth Movement (CYM) have expressed solidarity with mobilization and participated in the demonstration in Dublin. Lucky Kambule, Movement of Asylum Seekers in Ireland (MASI), has accused that while returning after the demo on Saturday, he was abused with racist slurs. In response to this, he has said that, and I quote, "Well, I have a message for those who called me on my way back home from the Black Lives Matter, calling me all sorts of names, wishing I could rot in hell. I will always be proud of being born black and will keep fighting for the liberation of the people. I know I will annoy few, but I know most of you will always be by my side. That is all that matters. They have kept knees on our necks much too long. Enough is enough now. Remove that knee," unquote. George Floyd did not choose to die during this time. We have to honor his life now, not any time later. Direct provision must end now. Asylum seekers feel the pain of the knee on their necks. They can't breathe, sir. Remove that knee and set the captives free, he added. The demand to end the direct provisions is gaining strength in the Republic of Ireland these days. A petition named Abolish Direct Provisions Ireland has collected 39,364 signatures as of June 7, which stated that direct provision started in 1999 as a temporary 6-month means for housing asylum seekers, holds families in isolated areas with little or no access to basic services for years. Parents have reported spending a minimum of 3 years in deplorable conditions with whole families in one room, including children and individuals sleeping on mattresses. According to reports, Northern Ireland authorities have threatened the organizers with prosecution for defying restrictions by police and other authorities. Dublin Mayor also tried to discourage the mobilization by suggesting the organizers show their solidarity by signing an online book of condolence for George Floyd instead of organizing a protest demo. Protests have erupted across the United States demanding justice for 46-year-old African-American George Floyd, who was killed by police officers in Minneapolis on May 25. Progressive sections across the world also organizing marches in solidarity with anti-racist protests in the United States and demanding justice for George Floyd. To People's Dispatch for the international stories. Coming up is the happening in the world of sport with Eve Intiwa Edward. Just stay with us.